Hi, folks, and welcome to the last episode of Careers and Coffee. So it's the season finale, and I get to welcome Josie. And Josie does all of the technical wizardry behind the scenes. I have the easiest role. I get to rock up, I have a coffee, I get to talk to some wonderfully inspiring guests to learn about sectors and industries and their careers and a little bit more about them. But today I'm going to welcome Josie, and me and Josie are going to do that. We're going to have a chat. We're going to have a conversation, learn a little bit more about her role on Careers and Coffee. So yeah, let's welcome Josie.
That's so
Good
funny.
afternoon.
So funny putting myself on screen and not a guest on screen, Jordan. That's the weirdest thing in the world.
It's a bit odd, isn't it?
It really is.
And just discussing then that usually we've got a guest behind the scenes and we're waiting for something to break and everything's going to go really, really wrong. It's so odd.
That last minute panic of where are they? Why aren't they here? Or oh no, their internet's dropped out, or whatever it happens to be.
Don't. The amount of time I wish people could see the behind the scenes of the level of panic I go through when someone's little head appears, because what folks can't see, obviously you can see Josie next to me, and then we've got the little logo down there.
I wonder if I can. I don't know if I can share it. I don't know if I can share. I'm going to see. I might break the internet. If I break the internet, I apologise.
I've not broken it. But what we see is a totally different screen. So that's that's the YouTube bit.
No, that's YouTube. Yeah, won't let me. I don't think it's going to let me share ourselves. Isn't that interesting?
That's a bit odd. But yeah, no. So we usually see this whole behind the scenes thing, and then when you post in comments, so if someone puts a comment in now, then we get to see that, and then we upload it onto the screen.
There we go.
Oh, that's a very weird way of looking at it. But yeah, so that's what we get to see behind the scenes, and then we have guests on, and yeah, that's sort of an insight into careers and coffee. Josie, I think what a lot of people don't realise what you do, what the whole project's about. So yeah, tell us about Josie Finch.
So I do exactly the same job as Jordan. So I focus on rural schools though. So we've been calling my schools the donut that surrounds Ipswich Opportunity Area for quite some time. So I am focused on Baber, Mid Suffolk and East Coast schools. All secondary schools of further education or sixth forms, that kind of thing. And I go in to link up education and business. So it's about getting employers involved in supporting young people to understand what the world of work actually looks like. So teachers might have their own ideas of what the world of work looks like, whereas we have maybe a better insight when we're talking to employers about what they're really looking for from young people at the moment. What are those skills they really want teachers to be focusing in on? And obviously at the moment, no employers can go into schools because there's no pupils really to go in and see anyway. But so we were worried when we first went into lockdown about how we were going to keep up with that employer engagement and that momentum that we've been growing for these amount of years. And then this was born. This beautiful baby that is Careers and Coffee was born. Yeah.
I think that's a good insight. And I think those
we've had a question, so I'm just going to post the question across. We've actually had two questions, so I'm just going to post a question across. Okay, but carry on talking, Jordan.
I was just going to say 24 episodes later, and now we've got to hear, and the guests. And I think once we've answered these questions, Bob, I think we can talk about sort of who was our favourite guests. How did you come up with the concept of Careers and Coffee? Now, for anyone who watches Jerry Seinfeld or who knows who he is, anyone watching who doesn't should just end this at the minute. But he does a show called Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. And it's brilliant. It's like 15 minutes on Netflix. Jerry rocks up in these cool cars and he'll pick up a comedian and they go for a drive and they have a coffee. And it's unscripted. They just have a chat. And I watch it. It's brilliant. And I thought, well, why can't we do some sort of unscripted little show on YouTube doing exactly that, where students and young people, whoever, wants to then just send in a question and have it answered. So that's sort of where it was born out of. And then after thinking about that, I thought this is a lot more technical than I have the capabilities to do. So then a lot of panicked messages to Josie to say, how do we take what's sort of up here and actually make
it
make
real.
it work?
Yeah.
I think that's probably how I sort of came up with it, and then it's just sort of evolved with me and Josie, and I would definitely say that we will have a season 2, and we'll make sure we do them every term.
Yep.
And I think it's going to be better. We're going to have better guest songs. It's going to be even slicker. There's going to be new people on the screen and off the screen. So there is just more than me and Josie at the new Anglia Enterprise Adviser Network. There's a whole team of us who connect education and business across Norfolk and Suffolk. So.
Well, I think talking about it getting slicker, I've been looking back at what some of our episodes look like, the first episodes, and how we've moved forward. And some of those first episodes look really dodgy in comparison with where we are now. You know, and you can go, "Oh, we were doing that." So there was no logo; it was all black. There was we used a platform called StreamYard. It was the StreamYard branding on it. Even on the first episode, we weren't seeming to post questions live, and I don't understand why we weren't doing that. We weren't using the banners. It's really
I don't know why we didn't do
interesting.
that, because you could have done it. It's a bit daft, really.
So I think we were posing the questions in the background, and obviously we then have developed what we use and how we do it as we've been going along. And also, go on.
No, go on.
No, go on. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, I think it has got slicker, and I've not got any facial fluff anymore, which was a sort of a half-hearted attempt at going through puberty, really. And I look at I think we might have to delete videos from sort of May 5th.
I would like to be able to re-video you by yourself asking those questions, and then overlay new video footage on top somehow. So we've still got the backwards and forwards, but so you're not like hairy. And
everyone did it, you know.
There was one I've watched it recently. Where you rock up on your facial hair and you're in a hoodie, and I was like, "What are you doing?"
It's supposed to be casual. But now
there's casual, and then there's just getting out of bed, Jordan.
It's not caring. But like now, I'm in the office. I've made an effort. I mean, I've got a cufflink shirt on and everything. So
I know you have. You've done well. You've really made an effort today. I've got another question here as well.
What skills have you both learned?
There's a lot. So for me, I'm quite techie anyway. I love playing with computer programs and figuring out how things work, and playing with publisher and video editing software and all those kind of things. But there's a few things that I've not done before. So these overlays that have our branding on them, there's one that's in the background, which is like a backdrop, and then there's see-through ones you can put on top called overlays. Figuring out how to create overlays was really difficult. They're not easy to create because you have to have a see-through, you make a see-through poster essentially with just a section of it that's not see-through, and then saving that and managing to upload it into StreamYard is actually an art form all of itself. It was like my
head hurts just hearing it.
It was actually really more difficult, and I ended up watching quite a few YouTube videos on how to do this to then be able to do it. So I played around with a few programs. I used let me have a little look. I did write down which programs I used: Figma and Pixlr and another one before I could figure out actually how to do it. So I did play quite a lot.
I think for me, what skills have I learned? I think first you have to be super organized. You have to be super on it. And so before every broadcast, there's sort of 25 minutes beforehand where we check the mics and camera and that you can hear us and see us fine, making sure the guests are okay. We prep all of the questions weeks and months in advance, and we do our homework on guests. So, we had Judge Overy on the other day. It takes ages to find out. So I don't know when he got called to the bar in 1980 something or other. So we do a lot of homework on who the guests are. So we don't just rock up. So although it looks like the guest has just joined at 12:30, we've been chatting for a little bit beforehand. And I don't know what I'd class this as a skill, but it's making sure the guest feels comfortable and
Yes.
at ease, because people come on very, very nervous, because there could be one person watching, or there could be 1,000 people watching. And on some of the videos, it's afterwards where people are then watching them in hindsight. And people get so nervous. People who I thought wouldn't get nervous are terrified about when it goes live.
It has been really interesting. I think I don't think Rosanna mind me sharing, but when we asked her first to come on the show, she sent us an email back quite quickly saying, well, what about lighting, and what about this, and what about that? So
we had to have a meeting before.
We had a meeting about coming on the show so that she could air all of these concerns. But that's the same with quite a lot of people. They ask you beforehand, and when I've been talking to people about coming on the show, it's a conversation, not just an invite to come on the show. It's a conversation around what might that look like, what might the questions look like. Because obviously we don't know what people are going to ask live, and we've had a few more questions, Jordan, so I'm just starting to put them into banners to put them up, but so we don't know what people are going to ask, and you have no idea even what you might ask, Jordan, because you will, off the bat of somebody has said, oh, I used to do X, Y, and Z, you suddenly come up with a new question because you didn't know that about them. And
there is a lot of pressure. Like I've had guests on and they've been fine 20 minutes beforehand, and then they come on and get really nervous. So their answers go from really quite open to quite closed answers, and so you're trying to draw out information from them. And like Josie, like you mentioned, they might say something. You think, oh, okay, that's interesting, and then think of another question to relay onto that. Also, you then have to think about sort of when it gets to the last 5 minutes, you then start to think, what questions can I ask where they won't ramble on to make sure that we can close at that time, because it's important that we keep to 30 minutes, because people won't watch for an hour and a half or something daft. So I think lots of skills learned. Patience.
There has been, and things around also the technical side. So I mean, I've got a background of working in theatres and doing stage management and stuff. So I've got experience of being backstage and having what are called the cans on when you're in theatre. The headphones are called cans.
I've learned something today.
Yeah, there you go. So when you're stage managing, it is but like saying, we've got 5 minutes, we've got 3 minutes, we're going to go live in a minute. And so I've just taken on that role naturally because that's what I'm used to doing. So I have just done those things naturally, but it is those skills and being able to do it nicely enough so that people aren't getting nervous and you're kind of going, shh, we've got to go on now, but also having enough authority to kind of go, actually, we need to wrap up this conversation because we're about to go live. That in itself is a skill as well.
So I mean, for you, who's been one of your highlights in terms of a guest who's came on? It's a tricky question, isn't it?
It is. So, and that's different depending on for pre and post show conversation. My favourite guest has been Helen Oldfield.
Oh, okay.
So you weren't even in the conversation, Jordan. I wasn't. You had to go somewhere or something early for a meeting. So Helen and I were left talking for about half hour after you'd left us. But we got on like a house on fire. We had a really good conversation. So that would probably be my favourite because lots of things aligned with us as that. And she also asked you a great question. I don't know if you remember.
Oh, when am I going to be MP for Ipswich?
Yes.
Yeah, that was a good question.
That was a great question. And I knew she was going to ask you it, but I hadn't told you. And so when she asked it, it was like, oh, yes, go on, Helen. Come on, Jordan, answer that question. It was great. It was really off the cuff for her, and you didn't know. Otherwise, my other favourite guest, I really liked Rupert the other day. I thought Rupert, Judge Overbury, he was fantastic. He was
turned wood.
In fact, he came on with the wig and the full regalia.
He went into the office, especially, and dressed up for us to do that.
And I liked that.
Just lovely guy, really nice guy.
And I could have listened to him talk for such a long time because his experiences of various cases and trials and just the skills he has to be a judge and that impartiality was great. And the fact that actually there are times, and he spoke about that, about when the the jury don't go with the decision you think they should have, and how you handle that, because actually they're finding somebody not guilty and you're thinking inside they're guilty, but you can't do anything about it. So
Well,
yeah,
or the other way around.
Yes, absolutely. What about you, Jordan? Your favourites?
I think Christine Hodgson, who's chair of CEC, just such an inspiring and respected and passionate, successful woman, and she's just killing it. And she was such a good guest, and
she had really good quotes as well.
Oh, so many good quotes. Honestly, it's like soundbite heaven.
I know. My favourite one was around time. So you've got to treat time as a precious commodity.
But like she called me an hour beforehand to go through things, and she joined, and then because I'm interested in corporate social responsibility and sustainability of businesses, and we had a 45-minute chat the other day on the phone, because I said I find it really interesting, and I think guests who give up so much time, I was hanging on every word. But other people, I like Tom Hunt, MP for Ipswich.
Yep.
He was good. He's challenging. Tom did. I asked him a question and then he didn't answer it, and I said,
and then you re-asked it in a different way.
The question is,
very well.
I thought, do politicians really do that?
Yeah, they do.
Then I'm sat here and I'm like, he just did that. So Tom was James Potter from Superstructures Engineering.
Yes,
like James. I can't come on here and not say Helen Clements.
Oh well, we've had Helen twice.
Helen's been super greedy on this, and but she was good. She was very good.
She's been really good. I liked Helen. I liked the fact that she was explaining that actually when she was at school, she was really pants. She got what was equivalent, I think, of 2 GCSEs.
Yeah.
Left, got a job, had her family, and actually then worked her butt off basically to get where she is, and is now doing a degree apprenticeship.
I was just going to say that, yeah. So I think and also I'm not going to rattle through every guest, but everyone we've had on, a huge thank you for coming on, sharing, because it's not just 30 minutes, it's an hour, and then it's the press. On it, so a message to everyone who's came on: you have not just had a coffee with me on YouTube. You've helped inspire a young person. You've helped raise aspirations. You've helped give them a role model that they think they look, sound, act, whatever like me. I could do their job in the future. That's the difference you've been able to make. So huge thank you to all the guests.
Huge, and it's been lovely to have guests on, yes, from local businesses, but also from further afield, to hear voices that are maybe a bit different. That's been really good as well.
Also, before we go on to that, have you got a coffee? Have you got a beverage?
Yeah. I've been drinking it away.
Is it a coffee though?
It is coffee. I have got an instant coffee, unfortunately. I would kill for something like a latte or maybe a mocha.
The Nespresso machine home, so I can't even have a pod one.
Yeah, no, I would actually probably quite happily, commit murder for one of them at the moment and be up in front of one of those judges.
I should add on here as well, sometimes I do not have coffee on coffee. Honestly, vodka, peppermint tea, really. Anyway, right. Next question. So, has there been universal advice employers have had for the young people of Norfolk and Suffolk? Yeah.
There has. There's been a lot around having transferable skills. There's been around transferable skills. LinkedIn and digital profiles have come up quite a few times as well.
Yeah.
Which
social media, making sure you're safe and responsible on that.
Yes, yeah.
Communication skills, that's another one.
Yeah, and I think it was Christine Hodgson who was saying about, use technology. She didn't have technology, when she was growing up. She definitely didn't have, her own computer and all those kind of things, and that is something that kids now have. They, whether it's a home computer or a smartphone or access to digital in some way, so use that and be curious. And I thought that was a really nice piece of advice about being curious about the world around you.
So yeah, I think there's definitely been a lot of universal advice there from employers, and I think given the circumstance that we're all in, everyone's singing from the same hymn sheet around making sure you're tech savvy and all of those sorts of things. Right, what have we got? So if a young person wants to emulate a chat show, what would you recommend they do? get yourself a Josie in the background. Otherwise, it's not going to happen.
I would recommend they have to have an interest. So with ours is focused. So our mission, we've got like a mission statement without actually really having one, but it
Yeah.
is to make sure that it's focused around careers. So conversations can be, and we spoke about this yesterday, conversations can be about diversity or about social issues, but it has to link back to careers and how that diversity or social issue impacts on careers or that person's career in some way. Because you can't kind of, it would be too broad. We aren't the Ellen show. Do you know?
We
We
can all
aren't.
dream.
We can all dream, but we aren't. And the whole point is that we have a name. And I think it's the same. If you're really interested in horse riding, for example, I don't know where that came from. Just pulled that one out somewhere. But maybe you're interested in horse riding. Do a show around horse riding and speak to different people around horse riding and the skills and vets and all those kind of things. Because then you've got a target audience, and then they know where to come because it's YouTube, so people have got to be able to find you. So just saying chat show is not good, but if you put in careers, somebody could type in careers and find us. So I think that's it for me.
And I think as well, if you're doing it like the person said, a chat show, you need to be confident. You need to come across really confident, speak well, pronounce things coherently. Lighting, all of the technical stuff. But I think making sure you are confident, because we've got a lot of emails from people saying, "Oh, this sounds good. Can you do it? Let's have a call." How? And I think, please tell me you're not going to be presenting it. And I mean it in the nicest way, that actually, if you've got a super nervous guest on, you need to be able to calm them down and just say, "Look, we're having a coffee."
And you need to be able to chat. You need to be the kind of person who can sit and chat about anything. That's what you need to be, and to sound interested even when you're really not. I think that's a skill, and it's one you can grow. It might not be one that you have presently. It is one that you can grow, but it's about practicing as well and practicing talking.
And watch people who know what they're doing. I'm not an expert. Go and watch Jimmy Fallon or James Corden or any of them folks, because you'll realise that they're very skilled at it. So yeah, that's our top tip. What's been the feedback from guest schools and students been like? Positive, very positive. We've got schools setting this as homework for students. We have got people.
Sorry to the students that are having homework.
We just get so much positive. I've not seen anything bad yet.
No,
this one's not finished, so.
Oh, that last one, that was terrible.
Yeah, get them off. So yeah, no, overall,
it's been really, really positive. Most schools seem to be watching it back, not live, that way rather than live. So it'd be nice to get a few more live viewers from a younger profile, so that actually we're getting questions direct from students. But other than that, I think all the feedback has been really positive, and they're asking for a timetable of who's on and when. So I think that in itself shows that they see value in it.
Yeah, once we're on BBC One, then you can just go on to Planner and then you can see the schedule.
We've got another one here.
What's your vision for season 2? Oh, blimey.
We're going to have special effects team.
I want a neon light behind me saying careers and coffee. But
I'd like a proper green screen so we can project things onto it. That would be amazing.
I just don't think my boss will let that slide through on its
No, I don't think we're getting that either.
No. But we're going to have amazing guests from up and down the UK, but also folks who are local. Every sector that we have in New Anglia, everything from, if you want to go into ICT tech, agri-tech,
construction, manufacturing,
clean energy.
Creative.
We're going to have speakers, creative, people from tourism. We're going to have folks from all of them industries talking to you about their careers. So we're keen to make sure that everyone's represented. And that includes making sure we have
feedback asking if we could have people lower down in the in the food chain of industry. I don't know what we're going to call it, but so kind of more setting out on their career paths, or happy being lower down in their career path and not actually striving to be the business owner or the CEO. Actually, they're happy with the level they're at. So I'm hoping we can get some more guests on like that as well.
and I think a diverse bunch of guests as well.
Yes.
We want people who look, sound, act, come from the same background as
Yeah.
people. So yeah, that's what we're keen to do.
Relatable.
Yeah, spot on, relatable. So yeah, that's sort of what's planned, and a very cool introductory video. I don't know what I'd call it.
Yeah, we're looking at making some kind of intro video, yeah.
Just because
And
that's
maybe an
what Terry
outro
does.
as well.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, an intro and an outro to make us, all speak, But we'll see. We'll see. I'd like to.
Getting carried away.
There's dreams. They're dreams, aren't they? So,
Yeah.
but we'll definitely continue as we are, and we're hoping to maybe get some students on to do some of the interviewing as well, which would be amazing to be able to give some kids some work experience that way. I think would be really lovely. Okay, this is a good question. So there we go.
Oh, bloody hell. Josie, no, you can answer that first.
Oh, so Sir Ian McKellen, I'd love on.
Do you watch Patrick Stewart? Do you watch him on? Have you got him on Facebook when he does the sonnets?
Oh,
Ian McKellen did one.
Yes, I saw for Patrick Stewart's birthday.
Yeah.
I know, it was really good, wasn't it? Yeah. So Patrick Stewart as well. Patrick Stewart is like a huge love of mine. It seems to be that I only like 80-year-old men in this comment, though, doesn't it?
I thought you were going to say Professor Xavier and Magneto.
I know.
So, yeah.
Who else would I love on? Oh, I don't know. Like people like Stephen Fry would be amazing, and he's local. So if we've got any local connections to Stephen Fry, would love Stephen Fry because he's in Norfolk. But he would be an amazing guest to ask some questions. What about you, Jordan? I'm just trying to think anybody who's no longer with us. But yeah, who would you like?
It's got to be Barack Obama.
Yeah. But can Michelle come too? Because I love Michelle too.
Michelle can come, and the kids. I just respect him so much, and I remember being awake when he got, when the news came in, and I don't know, because you, as a young kid, sort of still am, but you just saw, you think, wow, someone who just breaks the norm, doing something different.
I didn't think I would ever see a black president in America in my lifetime.
No, and I don't know. It brings you a sliver of hope, and he did, and that's what you look for in not just politics, but I think life at the minute. So, and he continues to do so. Great leader. I don't know who else I'd have on. I don't know. No, he'd be the top one for now. Yeah.
Okay. I think we should talk about panicky moments.
Well, hang on. I've got a question for you.
Okay, go on. Yeah, go on.
What's some careers advice you would give that maybe you shouldn't?
Oh, okay. That you don't have to go to uni. I know, that's a big shocker. You don't have to get a degree to get on in life. It's not a necessity. It can aid you, yes, but it's not a necessity. You can get on the career path. You can start, if you want to go into a job at 16, you can go into a job at 16 and work your bum off in that industry, and you will still get as far as you want to go. And it's okay to quit. If you decide that whatever it is not for you, you'll hate it, and you are dreading whatever it is, whether that's a college course, whether that's a job, it's okay to change your mind and change direction and do something new. You don't, just because you've gone and done an accountancy degree does not mean you have to be an accountant all your life. It's okay to suddenly go, actually, I'm going to be a ballet dancer, and go off in a completely left field. That's okay. It's about being happy. So for me, if you're happy being a binman, then you're happy being a binman, and you should be a bin man. It's not about huge accolades or anything, really. Life is about being happy. So find what your happy place is, really, and then work in that field. So I don't care what you do as a job. I genuinely don't, and I don't care what your aspirations are, so long as you're just a happy, kind, nice person. That's really all that matters.
Some sound advice.
What about you, Jordan? What would your non-careers advice be? Your inappropriate careers advice?
Oh, I don't know if I should say that. My non-appropriate careers advice. I think similar to yourself, actually, to be honest with you. I think you got to do what makes you happy, and if you don't, then what are you doing it for? And that life is bigger than the numbers and the money aspect of it.
Yeah.
You know, I like a level of a quality of life opposed to the quantity side of it. So yeah, no, I think it's trying to find something you're really happy about, and sometimes that will piss people off what your decision is. But if you're quite content and happy with that, then you need to really drive that home. And also, it's okay to disagree with people, and even people who are more senior than you.
Yes. You can push back.
Yeah, and I think that gives a certain level of respect. I think then, because nobody likes a yes person who just nods along. I think just if you disagree with someone and they are your boss's boss, then say you disagree, because otherwise, a lot of the time they're looking for someone who does that. So make sure you don't. No, that's crap.
Well, it's got to be a reason.
It's got to be developed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, make sure it's informed decision about why you came to that conclusion. But disagreeing it's good. Yeah, that's some of my advice. See, I wrote that question for you without then thinking you might bounce it back onto me. So this is what I'm
by now. You should know by now I'm going to bounce anything you ask me back on you.
I know, but
I have got a question for you though, Jordan.
Yeah, go on.
What's been your biggest fashion regret in all of these
my biggest fashion regret.
Yeah. Can you remember an outfit you wore where you thought, oh, I shouldn't have worn that on screen?
I think there's one of me in a striped t-shirt, which makes me look like a French waiter with the facial fluff. So that might be getting deleted. I don't know what else. No, I think that's probably. I did wear a hoodie for the first Careers and Coffee because I thought go for the casual work at home approach because, yeah, why not?
Mine is when you wore a burgundy fleece. Didn't like the burgundy fleece. You've got like a zip-up fleece. Yeah, it's kind of a burgundy red. Didn't like it. I was like, oh, Jordan, why are you wearing that?
Yeah.
But there was no time to get the change beforehand. Normally, I'd say, Jordan, don't wear that.
Yeah, I do come on beforehand.
What episode was it? Where me and the guest, was it with James, actually?
I think it might have been.
Me and the guest both went, you can't wear that.
Yeah, I think it was. Thanks for that. Thank you.
You're welcome. I thought it was quite a good question. It made me smile. I think we should talk about the panicky moments before we finish, because I know we're now at 33 minutes, which is actually quite long and it's gone really quick. But there's been quite a few comedy panicky moments when we have been just about to go on or things have gone completely wrong. So for me, the first one of those was the power of mentoring with when Cole was just nowhere to be seen, and we were all then panicking, going, "Well, where is he? Where is he? Well, like, does he know what's going on?" And then when he finally joined us, there was no chance to talk to him because we were just going live, and he looked like he was in witness protection because he was all blacked out.
It was like a panorama drama thing with the fake voice. And then they put the person all like they'd make them really dark with the shadows.
Yeah, that was my favourite. I think a favourite panic.
I think one of my panicky moments was our second Careers and Coffee, when a guest joined us on a desktop computer with no camera or microphone.
That was a learning curve. We have to check.
That was a. Yeah. After I send out quite clear instructions to all of our guests, and that didn't get resolved until last minute. So that was a panicky moment. Other moments, and I know Pam will not mind me saying this, she left a TV on in the background So I can hear, I don't know, I don't know who's on at daytime, Phil and Holly.
Probably Phil. She was probably watching herself back on an episode.
That, hearing that in the back, you're like, oh, just turn the, because you
Yeah,
can't.
but when we so I normally listen into all the conversations to check the audio beforehand before we go on. So that's why I like people to talk.
Yes.
There was no sound of a TV going live.
No.
Which was the most bizarre thing.
Did she put it on? I don't know.
I don't know either. Because I was kind of going, what is that noise? Why is there a noise?
I was just, yeah, that was something else.
And also, I think when Judge Overbury, you dropped out at one point.
Oh yeah, that was only last week. This time
last Thursday, yeah. That was great because he was really good. He just carried on answering that question that was on the screen.
Yeah, so sometimes, folks, things do not go terrifically well.
No.
But
and you have to not panic. Don't panic.
You can't panic. I just moved to a different room in the office, which I thought would be better Wi-Fi. But that is the trouble of Suffolk. So, yeah, so I think they're some of the top panicky moments so far. Next season, hopefully things will, coming in the office makes life a little bit easier.
We'll still have panics, Jordan.
I'm not. Yeah, we're gonna have, I don't know, a piano falling on someone or something.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. There's always the thing with panics is just not to actually panic, just to kind of go, there's nothing I can do. So, if you hadn't come back on the screen, I would have ended up going on the screen with Judge Overbury and speaking to him and just saying, Jordan seems to have done a runner. Shall we carry on having a conversation? That's what you do. Or if the guest completely drops out, was it Mike where he dropped out for a little while, or there was a lag?
Yeah, Mike Dorr. He was a good guest.
He was a very good guest. But again, if he had completely disappeared, we just would have finished the interview.
Yeah, I think when we come back to them skills, I think it's learning to cope under pressure, because you're very conscious. There's we have a number on the screen that tells us how many people are watching and stuff. You think it would be the same where I've done speeches in front of people and all sorts of, it's a similar sort of feeling, whereas if you mess up a sentence or something, you just actually need to take a breath, go back on yourself, sort it out, and then, people are accepting. We're in a new world of dodgy internet connections and people skipping all over the thing. So I think just calming down, I think, is probably a skill.
I mean, from a work point of view, I think this show, let's call it a show, because I'm not really sure what we call it, has been one of the best things to come out of lockdown.
Yeah, on a global scale.
On a global scale, it's the best thing to come out of lockdown. No, genuinely, because it's meant that we've had to think on our feet and to be creative. And I think by creating this, I think it's also pushed us and the rest of the team to kind of think, well, if we can do that, we can do anything. Like, why can't we do other virtual things? Why can't we do that as a virtual thing? Well, we can. So why not? And then that confidence just to go, well, we'll try it then. Because that's what we do with this. We'll try it.
How hard can it be? I think is the approach.
Yeah.
No, I think it's been brilliant. I know I'm conscious of time now. It's 38 minutes.
I know.
And I'm also very conscious. I think I've got a meeting soon as well. So
I know I'll go on holiday as soon as we finish this. My holiday starts.
I've got a meeting about a mortgage, so mine's less exciting.
Yeah, yours is less exciting.
That's my lunchtime done. So I suppose closing remarks, Josie. Have you got anything to say?
No, I mean, it's a season finale, so really, what should be happening now? If it was EastEnders or Coronation Street or something, there should be a plane crash or an explosion of a pub, something to keep us as a good cliffhanger. So I'm not really sure what to do as a cliffhanger.
There's a leaf blower guy outside, so that's
not the same, is it? Really? No, what about you? Have you got any closing remarks?
No, all I will say is that it's been a pleasure. Thank you for people regularly tuning in. Obviously, everybody who will then watch this back. I love doing it. Josie loves doing it. We love having the guests on. It's fantastic. If people have suggestions. So if anybody knows Barack, then just link us up.
Or any other guests. Any guests would be really good live. Yes, that's what we want.
But it's been awesome. Love it. And next, can we tell people who's on next one?
Well, we can tell them who's kicking off season 2.
Do you want to mention it then?
Sorry, I'm just going to keep on using that. That joke just hits the back of a net.
So, right, I'm just going to say we have Kevin Beeston, who is one of the directors of the Premier League, who will be joining us as our first, who will be kicking off season 2 on the 8th of September, 12:30 till 1, where we'll be talking to Kevin about. I don't play.
How do you become the director of the Premier League? That's the question, isn't it? How does that happen? Because
It's
for
a big
me,
thing.
it's a huge thing, and there are so many people who would love to be professional footballers, but who will never make it as a professional footballer, but might be able to make it to become a
Running
director of the
around.
Premier League, or to be the director of their local club, or those kind of things. So actually, how do you make it to be the director? I think is a really good question for young people.
Yeah, I agree. So there we are, 8th of September. Tune in to learn how do you become a director of the Premier League. I think easy. So survey, there we go. As a reminder, which I will add. Josie adds those in because I always forget. So there is a survey below. If you are one of the folks who have been watching this for 41 minutes, then you can do 41 minutes and 30 seconds to complete our survey. It just makes, we want to try and get on even better guests and to make this as good as possible, but we need feedback from folks like you who watch us so that we can do that. So 30 seconds, fill it in, and we'll be nice, happy people.
We will indeed.
Easy. Right. Well, I suppose goodbye. Have a wonderful summer, everyone, and we'll see you back in September.
Yep. Thank you for joining us for the last, 12 weeks?
12 weeks? God, bloody hell.
Yeah.
Deserve a holiday. Right.